Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, FromTheShadowsPodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram at From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/FromTheShadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
So, Howl, we've recovered from Thanksgiving. We've recovered from Jason's near-death experience. And now we're getting into the Christmas season. And I kind of want to... we should start celebrating, right? Don't you think? Since we're getting into the Christmas.
Yeah, I suppose, right? I mean, yeah.
I mean, so a couple weeks ago, we mentioned our, I guess he's a former super fan.
No, I mean, he's always going to be a super fan to me.
Is he going to always be a super fan?
He's always going to be a super. I mean, I know he wants to give that title up. Right, in your correspondence with him, he wants to give that up. Didn't that what he said? What did you tell me exactly? Because my fans want to hear exactly what he said.
You
can't remember.
Well, it's something about we shouldn't give up on him. Shouldn't give up so fast on him.
On him being a super fan or not being a super fan?
About the supposed evidence that we were presented.
Oh, because hold on, let me give that back to the viewers or the listeners here. He is upset that we did not take his Bigfoot. You guys, you and the judge.
Me and the judge.
Be the judge. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, it's in his name, right? You guys did not take his Bigfoot.
Well, I don't even know if there wasn't Bigfoot pictures. It's just trail cam pictures.
Hey, let me tell you something. I had a boss. That spent the majority of his life in Washington, D.C. And when he got out into the country to be my boss, he used to say perception is reality, right? So,
yep.
You know what I mean? So even though we did not take somebody's complaint seriously, he believed if they believed it, it was real. Does that make sense? And I
and I
the
think
rabbit hole of
it's unfair.
Of some of the stuff these people thought was, sometimes they felt they were being trespassed upon when they weren't. You know what I mean?
But I think
let's face it. I mean, I hate to say this, but it irks me here, and I hadn't been looking at the blackjack on my desk. Okay.
Yeah.
And the listeners of a certain age will know what a blackjack is. Okay.
And it ain't 21. It ain't.
It ain't. And jokingly, one time they people complained about how we interacted with them, and I said, I didn't bring my blackjack, and the people I was with, half of them were under 30 and didn't even know what blackjack was. And I thought, now that's a hell of a thing to say, because my 12-year-old kid, when he was 10, was at school and they were talking about corporal punishment and does your dad hit you or something like it. It was like a safe child briefing.
Yeah.
Do you have
God,
guns in the house? And
where was that when I was
maybe he was, I tell you what, it was probably when he was 8 or 9, when I still lived in Minneapolis. But it came to the point where he told the teacher his daddy hit him with a blackjack. And she was a young enough teacher, she didn't know what a blackjack was, so she asked the school resource officer. And he said, well, I doubt it. She goes, serious? And he goes, well, is he bleeding? Is he knocked out when he gets here? How's his test score?
How's his test? Oh. The blackjack, the ultimate study guide.
Yes. So, needless to say, if it was his perception that was Bigfoot, you know what I mean? I used to spend a lot of time with a group of guys that swear this bass was 5 pounds, whether it was or not, right?
Yeah.
So if that's Bigfoot, by golly, I believe him.
Well, it wasn't about Bigfoot, and the judge and I did take this particular gentleman seriously. There's just nothing we could do, and when the judge did offer to come out and do an investigation, he was he was kind of like, oh, you can't do that. So your hands kind of get tied, and you can't start presenting stuff as, hey, this is real stuff, when our perception is we don't know what the reality really is. Okay, we don't know, how those pictures were taken, where they were taken.
Whenever he extended he extended the evidence out there, but when you wanted to review the evidence, he withdrew it.
Yes, I would say that is a fair assessment. So,
well, if you really knew, hey, hold on a second. What was that, Harry and the Hendersons? I mean, if you really had Bigfoot at home, would you let the outside world know?
Well,
I think that just gives you more credence.
You keep going back to Bigfoot. He was not claiming. There was no claim about Bigfoot.
Was it a Sasquatch, or what was the picture of?
There was, we don't know. Like, it looked like fog. It looked like water droplets, maybe. I mean, you couldn't tell. It wasn't. There was no claim that there was Bigfoot, though. But needless to say, we're going to celebrate. Now, it's not that we're going to celebrate that, we had a misunderstanding with the super fan, but we want to celebrate some of our fans that really do like us, who have reached out.
Regardless of what we say.
Yeah, regardless of what they say.
Yeah.
And I found it funny that, because yes, we do get people like this that for whatever reason don't, they just want to rail on us. Okay? That's society today. And I had a lady, I think her first name is Marguerite, who
Margaret or Margarita?
Marguerite, I think. I don't think it's Margaret. Marguerite. And on the Sasquatch Chronicles fan page said, some guy asked if anybody listened to our podcast, wanting to see what people think, because some people like us. And when you get to the Sasquatch Chronicle fans, some of them really don't like us because we're not like the guy who hosts Sasquatch Chronicles.
What do you mean we're not like him? You're not like him.
We're, we do we do our paranormal show. It's more of like a conversation with the guest. He does a great job of he has guests on, he lets them talk, and then he'll ask them some questions. Whereas when I'm talking with Jason and I, and when the judge is with us, we're talking to people with a paranormal story. We approach it as like we're people listening to the story in the car or in their home or whatever. And at that time, when you're listening to the story, there's questions that come to mind. Okay. And we'll blurt out, like we'll interrupt the guest in the flow of the conversation, trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the people listening, and ask questions. Like if I'm listening and there was something I wanted to know, like, weren't you scared? Or, did you crap your pants or something like that? That's what I'm going to ask. Some people don't like that, and that's fine. But don't compare us to somebody else to the point where you just don't like us because we're not like that other person, and that's what they do. And whatever. Okay. Well, some lady was railing because she didn't like our sense of humor. And she might have been listening to me and you. She might have been listening to me and Jason. Didn't like my corny jokes. Your Midwest Midwest sensibility.
You said you did not. Hold on a second. Time out here. You said you didn't know which she was listening to, yet now you think I'm the unfunny one? First of all, I don't joke about anything. Everything I talk about is dead serious. I mean, I tell criminal justice, cutting-edge law enforcement stories. I mean, do you think public safety is funny? Is that what this is? Maybe I can agree with her.
Well, either way, I didn't want to let you out of the criticism. So anyway, this lady, this Marguerite, said, ironically, that she started listening to us because this lady was questioning our sense of humor. And this lady loves our sense of humor, whether it's, yours, mine, Jason's, whoever. It's certainly not Jerry's, but anyway, I digress. But so I want to celebrate her for giving us a chance based on somebody else telling us that we sucked. So she gave us a chance and she liked us. So there you go.
Well, I think John Lennon said it best, right? Give love a chance.
I don't know. Did John Lennon say that?
Didn't he?
I don't know. I on my way home tonight from the horse barn, I had it on the 80s channel, and I heard Watching the World Go Round. And it took me back to as a kid when he was shot. And
that's right. I remember being on the school bus the day after he was shot.
And because I was born in 70, so I kind of missed the real, any of the Beatles stuff. And he really didn't do a whole lot of stuff through the 70s, I don't think. So I was just kind of discovering who he was. And then boom, he's gone. Like that album that he had with with that song on it, he was I think maybe they called it sort of a comeback. And boom, he's dead. Which by the way,
that no pun intended, right?
No pun intended.
Because I think it was really boom, 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 and he was dead. But
well, I don't know. Wasn't it like Mark David Chapman, the guy that shot him?
Guy with 3 first names. No, I don't know.
Hey, who was I talking to the other day that you're either a serial killer or a country singer with three names?
Aren't they the same? One's killed somebody, one hasn't.
Well, maybe somebody's killed.
Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I can remember. I can remember the school bus like it was yesterday.
Well, and I think that as a kid.
Do you know where he was shot? Besides in the back.
Well, he was shot in front of the
Dakota.
The Dakota Hotel, where
that's right.
The book that Chapman had in his pocket was Catcher in the Rye, right?
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it was Catcher in the Rye, which is a great book. I don't know if you've ever read it. I'm assuming.
Oh heavens, no! Are you kidding me?
You've never read it? You're such a
why would I read Catcher in the Rye, man? We had real books where I was from.
That is a real book.
Who wrote that? What's it about? Catcher in the Rye.
J.D. Salinger wrote it. You've never read Catcher in the Rye?
No, I read Heart of Darkness in my school. What I mean, I don't. That and Louis L'Amour. That's what we grew up with in the Bible, for heaven's sakes.
The Bible.
That's the books we read where I'm from.
The Catcher in the Rye is a great American classic piece of literature.
You can't even tell me the plot.
Well, the plot is gosh, I'm trying to.
My computer's going slow for some reason.
I'm trying to think of. I don't want to bore our listeners who know this.
Why
or whatever.
not? I mean,
But-
why not?
But
According to our former super fan. Now hold on a second. Now I think the super fan is like being a U.S. Marine, right? Once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. You know, there's no ex-Marines or former Marines. What do they call that? Okay. Once you're a full super fan, you're always a super fan, no matter what you do, right? So, according to our super fan, that's why we're losing audience share. Is because our terrible, your inability to get guests on your part of the podcast, and I don't think he said anything bad about me, but
well, because you said something about him blowing out our candle, and I don't think he liked that. But I think it's because he didn't get the analogy.
what
But
was
that's
the song
just
"Candle in the Wind"? Well, I don't know.
Anyway, Catcher in the Rye is a great book, and I think the
theme of angst, alienation, and critique on the superficiality of society sounds like today's Twitter. Maybe, maybe I'm,
Well, the book was banned for many years.
Sex and depression, and
I think there's like talk of suicide and stuff. And I mean, the real thing is I think you get to the end of the book and there's a question as to whether any of it really happened.
it's supposed to be some kind of a.
Well, whether the character in the book, any of this really happened, or he is in like an institution imagining this, because it's kind of like him like leaving school and just going on kind of an adventure to get back home during a break or something. So it is a very interesting book. I mean, it's not written very formally, so it's kind of schizophrenic in a way that it's written, I guess. Is a way you could look at it, which kind of goes to with the that the person's crazy that is actually the narrator of the book. So it was an interesting book. I
probably won't, at my advanced state, I probably won't be reading it.
I think you'd like it.
I doubt it. You know what I mean? I doubt it anymore. I can't, ever since I got this smartphone about 10 years ago, I can't do anything but look at it. I quit reading hardly anything.
Well, so here's and you know, I took Izzy and I and Chrissy went to see the new Ghostbusters movie. Okay.
They redid it a third time?
No, they didn't redo it a third time. This is the third installment.
This is the women Ghostbusters, right?
No, it's not the women Ghostbusters. That was the last one.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the punchline? You took Izzy to see Ghostbusters.
Went to see Ghostbusters. I was getting back to the whole smartphone thing. Okay. It's hard for me to watch a movie now because to commit a couple hours to watching a movie, I can just bring up the movie on Wikipedia and read the plot and see what the movie is and not waste my time. You know what I'm saying?
I saw, I was going to start doing a weekly movie review tomorrow, or last time. Remember me and talk offline about that? I saw the House of Gucci the other day, and you're not going to look at your phone when House of Gucci's playing. I guarantee you.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay? All right. But if anybody's fans of the first and second Ghostbusters and was totally appalled by the women's Ghostbusters, not that it was with women, it just was a poorly written movie. I think this new one is gets it back on track, so to speak. It was a very, very, very nice movie. But my point is that with the smartphone, it's just as easy to skip the whole movie and go and read about the plot, and then it takes like 5 minutes. Is that our movie review for the week?
No, I don't know if that's our movie review or not. What we were gonna do is mention our fans and super fans.
Oh, okay.
And I told you, you remember that's what we were gonna do.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, isn't that what we decided we were gonna do? Because anyway, I had a guy from back in the sticks reach out to me this week. I'm putting him as my #1 super fan.
Now, why are you making him your #1 super fan? How is that?
Because he PM'd me in a way that showed me that he was able to find me and PM me, and he's a good old boy from Missouri. He's down here in Hartville, so that's not too far from me. And
so he was able to peel back the curtain.
The layers of the onion is what the feds used to say, which I hated that, but whatever. It was their world, not mine. I was just living in it. And he was able to peel back the. We intersected at a juncture, and he was able to find out that that's me, dude. You're the Howler.
So he did some investigative work, or was it by accident that he discovered?
Or he could read one or the other. I mean, I don't know. It's common. It's pretty common.
So he
common. Now, most of the people associated with me in my hometown don't, but some people do, I suppose.
So he was able to figure out your true identity, is what you're saying. The Clark.
He hit me up, and I told him, I said, "You're the only person who has ever PM'd me and mentioned that podcast." He goes, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "Nope. Nobody has ever mentioned it."
That's kind of amazing. That nobody on social media has been able to figure that out.
And then I was thinking maybe what it could be is, do you remember the great Clint Eastwood movie, The Unforgiven?
Yeah.
Okay. And in the very beginning, English Bob is telling the writer on the train, because somebody had shot the president. They must have been talking about Lincoln, or who's the fat guy that gets shot after Lincoln? Garfield? Wasn't he from Ohio?
Yes, but did Garfield get shot?
I think he got shot but didn't die, or died late or something. Anyway, all that to say is English Bob was saying, if you had somebody like a king, people would be in such awe that they couldn't shoot him. Does that make sense? If you watch Unforgiven, you'll see him talk about that. I don't remember the guy that played English Bob on that show, but anyway, and then I thought maybe that's what it is. There is a pedestal.
They're in such awe of the Ozark
people
Howler.
Have put the Howler on, that they're almost too scared to reach out to me. Does that make sense?
Well, I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure it makes sense, but
or I come off unapproachable.
You're unapproachable.
I'm unapproachable.
Listen, I think it's totally the opposite. I think the people that listen to this part of the show, I think that's exactly why they listen, because you sound very approachable. I think if everybody had a chance to sit down, have a cup of coffee, go to lunch with the Howler, I'm sure that's what they'd want to do.
Well, I'm not saying I want to eat lunch with everybody. I'm just saying that.
I didn't say you did. I said they wanted to eat lunch with you.
They don't know that. I mean, they might think it, but
that's all it matters, right? Perception. Hey, their perception is reality.
It could be.
On their trail cam, you do not appear as a puff of smoke. You appear as a very clear picture of someone they can relate to. How about that?
What were we going to talk about today? Branson or Christmas lights or?
Yeah, tell me about your trip.
I forgot what we were.
Tell me about your trip to Branson.
Yeah, I went down to Branson, saw the lights. All you people have been to Silver Dollar City, and if you haven't been to Silver Dollar City for Christmas, you need to go.
Why is that? I mean,
it's just they have They have a Christmas themed celebration with about he told me there was 340,000. They said there was 340,000 lights on the big Christmas tree. Now I don't know how that is, but I would say they're pretty correct because they had the ability to, the LED lights on the tree change colors, and they made little outlines of people and things. I don't know how they do that. Computers of some sort. And it really, I'm telling you, I normally I never talk politics, right? Ever talk politics, ever.
No, just me.
But,
just me and you on our
offline.
Yes,
offline. But I'm just barely gonna put my toe in the water here, and hopefully Tim Lovelace don't get upset with what I'm about to say. But I took a picture and I almost tweeted because they're moving 3,000 Afghan refugees to Branson, Missouri, where the Beverly Hillbillies were from. And other than they're both mountain folk, I guess, the Pushtun Mountains versus the Ozark Mountains, I really don't know the thought process in that. And as 10,000 guests were reciting Silent Night under 1 million light bulbs, I took a picture and I almost tweeted it. This is there's something about the Afghans or something, you know what I mean? And I had my teenage son with me, and I said, "Dude, can you believe that they're going to bring 3,000 Afghanis down here? How do you think that's going to turn out?" And he succinctly said, "Allah Akbar." And I said, "That's what I'm afraid of." So I don't even know where I'm going with that. But if you get a chance, I've been to Branson twice since I moved back 3 years ago, and it's just a absolute great place. I think I told you they had some theaters. We should have a theater show down there of some sorts.
Yeah, I wonder how many people would travel to Branson for. You said there were some vacant theaters. Maybe we can rent out a theater. Or we can do a theater show.
Maybe, hopefully, do it in the summertime. We can go bass fishing down there. We could have a From the Shadows podcast bass tournament, right?
Oh yeah, it'd be great, and a barbecue.
And a barbecue fish fry. That's right, fish fry.
There you go, fish fry.
Yes,
I'd be all for that. I mean, I'm not a very good fisherman, but I'm a good eater.
See, that's the deal. That's where the segues into the beginning of the show, right? If you feel that bass weighed 5 pounds, it was a 5-pounder, Shane. So even if your pictures don't turn out right, if you think that's what it was, that's what it is.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That's right. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.